Chapter 2. The Mirrors of Malgudi. Malgudi, the fictional town made real by the sins hidden within it. We came for peace. We found reflection, distortion, and blood. It all began on the Bangalore Express, as Rajeev and I sat across from each other, the rhythmic clatter of the train beneath us. I asked him, half joking, "Are you sure this isn't just a journalist's overactive imagination?" He didn't even look up from the newspaper. 3 suicides in 5 days, he said flatly, all in front of the same mirror, all with a cryptic symbol carved into their wrists. Coincidence isn't that generous, Drax. The headline he showed me read, "Mirror Madness. Is Malgudi haunted?" That was the beginning of it. We arrived at the sleepy town and headed straight to the police station, where Inspector Meena Rao met us with a furrowed brow and folded arms. She said, "We don't need outsiders turning my town into a circus, but I'll give you 72 hours, solve it or step out." As we turned to leave, Rajeev muttered under his breath, just loud enough for me to hear, spoken like someone with something to hide. Our first stop was the bedroom of the most recent victim. The air still felt heavy. A shattered mirror lay across the floor, glinting like broken truths. Blood splattered the edges. On the wooden frame, someone had carved a strange symbol, a spiral within an eye. There was no sign of struggle, no forced entry, but every victim had one thing in common. "They all bought mirrors from the same artisan," Rajeev said, squinting at the mark. "Rajana Glassworks. Let's meet the sculptor of madness." At dusk, we found ourselves at a dark, soot-scented workshop tucked behind the market. Inside, rows of antique mirrors lined the walls like watchers. Rajana, the old blind artisan, ran his hands over a cooling glass mold as we entered. "I shape mirrors," he whispered, "but I do not shape what they show." Rajeev stepped closer. "You used to be a spiritual engraver. These patterns, they're tantric, not decorative." Rajana paused, then spoke so softly it felt like a confession. The mirrors were never meant to reflect the living. The investigation spiraled. We spoke to families, scoured temples, and dissected myths. The town was afraid, not of the deaths, but of the truth staring back at them from every reflection. Ancient Jain symbols, forgotten temple engravings, lost cult rituals. Everything pointed to something deeper than murder. One night, Rajeev stood before a mirror installed in our hotel hallway. The lights flickered. I saw his reflection tense. Then, without warning, he punched through the glass. Shards scattered across the floor. Blood trickled from his knuckles. "What the hell did you see?" I asked. He looked at me, breathing heavy. "Not what," he said. "Who?" Someone's using hypnotic cues embedded in the mirror designs, psychological triggers, ritual psychosis. Digging deeper, I found the answer in a temple archive buried beneath the library. A cult disbanded in the 1800s. They believed mirrors were not tools but gateways. They called themselves Antarmukha, the inward ones. They believed that a mirror could reveal the soul's darkest truth and break it. That night, we confronted Meena Rao in her office. "You were one of them," Rajeev said, calm and deadly certain. She stood still for a long moment before answering. "You don't understand the power of self-confrontation. The mirror doesn't kill. It reveals. Some people can't bear what they see." Rajeev walked toward her slowly. You triggered their deaths. That symbol isn't ancient. It's your design. You rebuilt the cult. Mina didn't flinch. She simply said, I gave them clarity. The confrontation turned violent. She pulled a ceremonial dagger from her drawer, but Rajeev was faster. The arrest was swift, clean. She didn't resist. Maybe part of her had already accepted what she saw in the mirror. On the train back to Bangalore, I sat beside Rajeev, watching the dawn rise over fields blurred by motion. She wasn't insane, I said, just broken, obsessed with a twisted idea of truth.
He sipped his coffee and replied, Truth, when forced on someone, becomes violence. We reflect, or we shatter. That evening we sat at Koshi's cafe, the air thick with nostalgia and quiet jazz. The case was closed, but the mirror never really cracked. Somewhere, a reflection still waits to be seen.